Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Will County Board for September 18th, 2014. Call this meeting to order. If everyone would please stand and stay standing. County Board member Suzanne Hart will lead us in the pledge this morning and then introduce our clergy for the invocation.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Well, it's my pleasure to introduce Pastor Neil Scory, Naperville Christian Church of Naperville, Illinois. Fabulous. Pastor Scory has been at Naperville Christian Church for 7 years. He's been married for 13 years and is proud father of 3 girls. I like you already. He is a strong advocate for women who are victims of domestic violence and a strong supporter of justice. Pastor Scory is dedicated to volunteers, have worked hard, and are pleased that Naperville Christian Church has been certified as safe haven for domestic violence victims. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. It's popular in our culture to complain about government at every level and then to lift very few fingers to change it or to do the hard work to improve it. But the writers of Scripture took a very different approach. The Apostle Paul said that there was a better way. In 1 Timothy chapter 2, verses 1 through 3, Paul wrote this. He said, "The first thing I want you to do is pray. Pray every way you know how, for everyone you know. Pray especially for rulers and their governments to rule well so that we can be quiet about our business of living simply in humble contemplation. This is the way our Savior God wants us to live." So I would like to take just a moment to pray for all of you as you make big decisions for Will County. God, I give thanks for the Will County board members. I pray for their wisdom and peace. I ask that you would help them to make decisions that would honor you and would help Will County become a place that is known as having residents who live out the values that bring true and satisfying life. As the prophet Micah said, to act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with you. Thank you, Lord, for this day and for all you've given us. And it's in the name of Jesus Christ that I pray. Amen. Amen.
Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Sure. Zagrosi?
Here.
Bustos?
Here.
Howard? Ogalla? Here. Izzo?
Here.
Moran?
Here.
Rice? Here. Harris?
Here.
Trainier? Here. Benefield?
Here.
Bible?
Here.
Freitag? Here. Gould?
Here.
Balich?
Here.
Frizzalone?
Here.
Winfrey? Here. Adamick?
Here.
Babbage?
Here.
Wilhelmy?
Here.
Hart?
Here.
Mayor?
Here.
McDermott? Here. Weigel?
Here.
Collins? Here. Berry?
Here.
And Brooks.
Here.
Thank you.
26 present.
26 present, a quorum is established. Entertain a motion placed on file the certificate of publication. Moved by Mr. Babbage, second by Mr. Wilhelmy. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Sure. Zagrosi?
Yes.
Mustis?
Yes.
Howard?
Yes.
Ogalla?
Yes.
Izzo?
Yes.
Moran?
Yes.
Rice?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Trainier? Benefield.
Yes.
Bible.
Yes.
Freitag.
Yes.
Gould.
Yes.
Balich.
Yes.
Griswold.
Yes.
Winfrey.
Yes.
Adamick.
Yes.
Davich.
Yes.
Wilhelmie.
Yes.
Hart.
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes.
McDermott.
Yes.
Weigel.
Yes.
Collins. Yes. Barry.
Yes.
And Brooks.
Yes.
Thank you.
26 affirmative.
26 affirmative, the motion has carried. Entertain a motion to approve the Will County Board recess meeting of August 21st, 2014, approval of the minutes. Moved by Mr. Ferry, second by Ms. Trenier. Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Rice, second by Mr. Howard. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Carried, motion has carried. Madam Clerk, would you please acknowledge our elected officials and media that is present this morning?
Sure. Circuit Clerk Pam McGuire, County Clerk Nancy Schultz Booth, our County Executive Larry Walsh, Recorder of Deeds Karen Stucco, Sheriff Paul Kopis, our State's Attorney James Glasgow, and we also have Beth Ann May from the Joliet Township Clerk at the meeting today. Oh, and Larry Walsh Jr. Hi, Larry. I didn't see him back there, sorry. And then we have, with media, we have Farmers Weekly Review and Bugle, Nick Ryder, South Carolina Stars, Susan Lafferty, and Herald News, Lauren Leon Cross, for the media. Welcome.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is citizens to be heard. Is there any citizens, public, that would like to have the podium to be addressed this body? Is there any citizens that would like to address this body? Anyone like to make a public comment? Thank you. Moving on to honorary resolutions and proclamations. If County Board members Denise Winfrey and Beth Rice, please come forward and make a present a proclamation, Citizens Against Abuse, and take back the night. Beth Rice.
Good morning, everyone. October 2nd will be the Take Back the Night event. I just want to say about that because I've been a part of that every year. It is a very powerful, very moving event, and we need to have more people involved in it so that we can begin to take a more positive stand against domestic violence and maybe even begin to eradicate it to somewhat. The resolution this morning reads, whereas Take Back the Night was first held in Germany in 1973 in response to a series of sexual assaults and murders, 5 years later, the first event was held in the United States. And whereas the purpose of Take Back the Night is to bring survivors, supporters, activists, and community leaders together and call for the end of violence against women, create a greater awareness of violence against women in our community, and educate the public about the attitudes and behaviors that perpetuate this problem. And whereas, since 1996, Take Back the Night has provided support and services for crime victims throughout the Will County area. And whereas Take Back the Night is critical to Will County's overall commitment to raising awareness about violence against women and the tragedies it creates. And whereas each year the event includes a speaker, candlelight vigil to memorialize victims, a brief march, entertainment, and an information table with materials from organizations in helping victims of violence. And whereas this year 2 events are scheduled. Will County Take Back the Night will be held on October 2nd, 2014 at ATI Field, Joliet Memorial Stadium starting at 5:30. And Citizens Against Abuse Take Back the Night of Northern Will County will be held on October 16, 2014 at the DuPage Township Levy Center, Bolingbrook, starting at 5 p.m. Now therefore be it resolved, the Will County Board, the Will County Executive do hereby recognize Take Back the Night in Will County, excuse me, call upon the people of Will County to observe this event with appropriate programs, activities, and ceremonies. Dated this 18th day of September 2014, Lawrence M. Walsh, Will County Executive, Nancy Schultz Booth, Will County Clerk, and I so move.
By Ms. Winfrey, second by Ms. Rice. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion is carried. Thank you, lady.
have with us the members of the Joliet Take Back the Night Committee this morning.
The committee would like to thank Will County Executive Larry Walsh and Nancy Boots for their proclamation and the support of the county board for recognizing the 18th annual Take Back the Night event in Will County. And special thanks, we would like to also thank Circuit Clerk Pam McGuire for her continuing support and the wonderful fundraiser that she does on behalf of Take Back the Night. At this time, though, I would like to ask everyone to take a moment for silence for our most recent victim of domestic violence, Ms. Jocelyn Woods, who was killed September 3rd. And she was 20 years old and a lifetime resident of Will County. Although during the last several months we've had a lot of the news focused on domestic violence, athletes in particular, it is a problem in America and it touches all ethnic and socioeconomic groups. I would like to share with you a few facts regarding domestic violence, and one is that 1 in 4 women will experience domestic violence during their lifetime, including physical assault and rape. However, it's not just the women that are affected by domestic violence. Every year, more than 3 million children witness domestic violence in their homes. Without help, girls who witness domestic violence are more apt to have violence committed on themselves as teens and women. Without help, boys who witness domestic violence are far more likely to become abusers of their partners and their children, thus continuing the cycle of domestic violence. Domestic violence also affects our community. According to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, domestic violence is the 3rd leading cause of homelessness among families. And the number 1 fact to remember is that most domestic violence incidents are not recorded or not reported. We hope to see all of you October 2nd at the stadium, Joliet Stadium on Jefferson Street. There will be an elected official table for you to sign in so you can be recognized during the program for your support of ending domestic violence. Thank you.
The Take Back the Night Committee every year gives an award to an individual or an organization that's helped us. And this year that award is going to James Glasgow. I want to let you know that. Sandy Iverson from Bolingbrook is here to comment.
Hi. Hi, thank you, board members, for this proclamation. As you said, I'm Sandy Iverson. I'm the chair of Citizens Against Abuse. We sponsor a Take Back the Night event. Our event will be October 16th at the Page Township Levy Center on Canterbury Lane in Bolingbrook. It starts at 5:30. This will be our 16th annual event. Unfortunately, we have to keep doing this because unfortunately, domestic violence encompasses, we're more into the abuse. It's just not husband, wife, spouse. It just encompasses a lot of stuff, which terrible. Nobody really wants to talk about it, but we give a platform for it. Our focus this year is cyberbullying and cyber stalking, internet safety and bullying, which is really, really big this year. I mean, a lot of people on this, kids bully people on the internet, and it has been known that those people being bullied have committed suicide, which is ridiculous, just ridiculous. Our keynote speaker this year is Melissa Hemsichek. She's from the Illinois State Attorney General's office, Lisa Madigan's office. She's an internet specialist. She has spoken on our behalf twice already. We had our first fundraiser last Wednesday, which was a success. And she spoke at the Bridging the Gap show that Deputy Mayor Leroy Brown from Bolingbrook hosts every year for us. She's just a world of knowledge. I've learned a lot. It's good for kids, young adults, teens, and parents. I strongly urge you to all come and listen to her speak. She does do speaking engagements north of 80, so if you need to get in touch with her, just call Lisa Madigan's office. We have new contact information, a website, www.citizensagainstabuse.com, and our Facebook page is www.facebook.com/STOP, ABUSE. And as they say, join us on Facebook and like us. Please come out and hear what Melissa has to say. And remember, stop abuse, it starts with us.
Now I'd like to recognize the County Board Member Reagan Freitag, who will make an announcement from her desk.
Thank you, Executive Walsh. I am proudly serving as the treasurer for the Will County Women's Bar Association. And in conjunction with Domestic Violence Awareness Month, we will be holding a drive, and we will have bins at the county building. Jim Glasgow has graciously allowed us to have 2 bins at both of his office, as well as Chief Judge James said we'll have one at the courthouse and one at the public defender's office. We'll be collecting items for the South Suburban Family Shelter as well as Guardian Angel Home. And there are flyers on all of our desks if everyone can help promote that. And the drive will be from September 22nd until October 3rd.
Thank you, Reagan. Next, County Board Member Joe Babbage will please come forward, make a presentation to the Northern Illinois Food Bank September Hunger Action Month. And I think that Lindsay Perry is here to accept. Please come down.
Before me today, I have the proclamation recognizing September as Hunger Action Month. Whereas Northern Illinois Food Bank is a nonprofit organization that engages the community in commitment to feed our hungry neighbors. And whereas Northern Illinois Food Bank has a mission to lead the Northern Illinois community in solving hunger by providing nutritious meals to those who need through innovative programs and partnerships. Whereas Northern Illinois Bank Food provides meals to more than 71,000 different people each week throughout a 13-county network of food pantries, soup kitchens, shelters, and youth and senior feeding programs, including more than 95 in Will County. And whereas the Northern Illinois Food Bank distributed 50 million meals to hungry neighbors in fiscal year 2014, including more than 8.6 million meals to hungry neighbors in Will County. And whereas September is Hungry Action Month, where Northern Illinois Food Bank and more than 200 food banks across the county are hosting awareness campaigns and events to bring attention and take action for the cause of hunger. And whereas September 4th, 2014 was National Go Orange Day, where local municipalities, businesses, and individuals were encouraged to wear orange to help raise awareness for hunger relief efforts. Now, therefore, it be resolved that the Will County Board and the Will County Executive proclaim September 2014 as Hunger Action Month in Will County. Be it further resolved that the Will County Board and the Will County Executive do hereby reaffirm their commitment to work towards solving hunger through innovative programs and partnerships. Dated this 18th day of September 2014, attest Nancy Schultz Boots, Will County Clerk, Larry M. Walsh, Will County Executive, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Babich, second by Mr. Eustace. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion is carried.
I just quickly wanted to say thank you on behalf of the Northern Illinois Food Bank and the over 600,000 hungry neighbors that we serve in partnership through our 13 counties. This is more than just a proclamation. It's a really big step towards creating a hunger-free Northern Illinois. So I just wanted to thank you for recognizing September's Hunger Action Awareness Month.
Next, if we can have County Board Member Tom Wagner come forward, make a presentation to Will County Historic Preservation Commission, the 2014 Commission Excellence Award to Sandy Vasco and Virginia Ferry, our good friend, Virginia Ferry, and Kurt Paddock, and a couple of other members are here. Mr. Weigel.
Thank you, Larry. The Historic Preservation Commission received an award from the National Alliance for Preservation Commissions on July 19, 2014 at Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, a statewide conference on heritage byways of the past. The conference also served the National Alliance for Preservation Commissions national meeting, which is hosted every 2 years throughout the country. The award recognizes for best practices for identification and registration. The premise of the award is that the Will County Historic Preservation Commission's past and ongoing efforts to survey all the historic structures in unincorporated Will County. To date, approximately 3/4 of the Will County townships have been surveyed. Bound copies of the surveyed townships are on file with the Land Use Department and distributed to local libraries and other agencies. These surveys are continually relied upon when doing research and documenting historic structures throughout the county. I'd like to call up Kurt Paddock.
The staff of the Land Use Department is very grateful for the opportunity to serve as staff to the Historic Preservation Commission, particularly as it relates to the task that led to this recognition. I'd like to introduce to you folks with whom you're probably already familiar, but for those of you who are not, I'd like to introduce the current chair of the Historic Preservation Commission, Sandy Vasco, Judy Panazzo, who's one of the newest members of the commission, and also would like to introduce and recognize Virginia Ferry, who's the longtime past chair and member of the commission. Much of the work for which this award is recognition was done under her tenure as chair. Ms. Vasco, do you want to address the board?
Thank you. I'd like to thank County Executive Walsh and the County Board for taking time out this morning to recognize us. And thank you for the past 10 years of encouraging us to do this project. I'd like to thank the people at Land Use who wrote those grants that made this project possible, and all of the commissioners who have served for the 10 years that this project has been going on here in Will County, and we're still not done. And I'd especially like to thank Virginia Ferry, who was head of the commission for the past 10 years and who led us down this path and to get this wonderful national award. We're all very proud of the commission. I'm very, very proud to have served on it for 10 years and to be the chair now. And Virginia, this is the result of your hard work. And I'd like to thank you personally, and would you like to say something? Yes. She never turns that down, does she?
Well, it is indeed a pleasure to be before this body, and thank you for the Will County Historic Preservation Commission. I'm going to try and talk fast. 24 years ago, it was because of the Will County Board and many of the people that were on it and some of the members, rather people who lived out in the community that got together and said, you know what, we've got to write an ordinance. We've got to do something to preserve our landmarks. And guess what? They did. They spent 2 or 3 years, I believe, and in I think it was 1992 was when the ordinance actually got passed. And so we're grateful because not only do we have many of our famous landmarks saved, but it's also, I'd like to refer to the Old Testament where God told the prophets and Moses, remember the landmarks, that to preserve them, to keep them, because when you see them, it will make you remember what happened here. And I feel that's how it is here. So thank you very much. I'll be short, and it's great to see you all again. Thank you very much.
Well, we definitely thank all of Virginia and Sandy and Judy and the work they do with the Preservation Commission. Now, County Board Member Speaker Herb Brooks will read into the record from his desk honoring a very special individual today, Reverend Mahone Jr.
Thank you, Mr. Executive. I'm not on. I may not need it. Yeah, you're probably right. I didn't bring it that way. Thank you, Mr. Executive. Good morning, everyone. It certainly gives me great pleasure to read this proclamation recognizing Pastor Licious Mahone Jr. on his retirement from Brown Chapel A.M. Church City of Joliet. He and his wife are in the audience, along with some members of his congregation. Whereas Licious Mahone Jr. was born to Licious and Lizzie Mae Mahone of Plattsburgh, Alabama, and received his early education in Alabama, and whereas at the age of 18, he came to Illinois to visit his sister, and never realizing what God had in store for him, and subsequently served in the U.S. Armed Forces, where he received his formal training in business administration. And whereas Licious Mahone Jr. entered the internet ministry of the African Methodist Episcopal Church and received his theological training through the Moody Bible Institute of Chicago and the AME Episcopal Church, being ordained as the internet elder by the late Bishop Howard T. Priam in September of 1972. And I know he don't look like it either. Whereas Licious Mahone Jr. began his pastorate at Turner Memorial AME Church in Chicago, located in the living room of one of his members, and during his tenure, he led the congregation in purchasing property with the intentions of building a new church. And whereas in 1981, the Reverend Licious Mahone Jr. was appointed as pastor of the believed Brown Chapel AME Church of Joliet, and whereas shortly after his arrival, Brown Chapel was well on its way to fiscal prosperity, spiritual growth, and in 1991, broke ground for his new edifice at 1502 East Mill Road in the city of Joliet. Whereas the Reverend Richard Mahone Jr. has the distinction of serving as the longest pastoral term in the North District of Chicago AME Church Annual Conference. And whereas since 2003, Licious Mahone Jr. has served as president of Churches United to Fight Against AIDS, a local organization working exclusively to empower churches in the greater Joliet area in the struggle against HIV and AIDS epidemic in the African American community. Served as the chairman of the Will County Community Health Organization Governing Council Board, served on the Quality Control Committee for the Will County Community Health Center, and is a member of the Joliet Regional Interfaith Education Council. And whereas Lyshon Mahone Jr. and his wife, First Lady Betty Mahone, are the proud parents of 3 adult children: Kenneth, his wife Christina, Lyshon III, and his wife Tanda. You all like that name? I like that. And the grandparents of 4 wonderful grandchildren: Eleanor, Grace, Marshall James, Blake Alexander, and Carrington Alexis. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Will County Board and the Will County Executive, in recognition of his many contributions to his church, parishioners, country, and the Will County community, congratulate the Reverend Lyshon Mahone Jr. on the occasion of his retirement and wish him continued success and happiness in the future. Dated this 18th day of September 2014, attested Nancy Schultz Booth, Will County Clerk, and Lawrence M. Walsh, Will County Executive. Congratulations, Pastor Mahone. Would you stand, you and Betty?
So moved by Mr. Brooks, second by Ms. Winfrey. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion is carried. Congratulations, Reverend Mahone and your family. So, thank you very much for all that you've done here in Joliet, Will County. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
And Mr. Executive, I will be presenting the formal proclamation at the retirement banquet on next weekend, I believe it is. Is that right? All right? So save a place for me. I'll be there. Thank you. And thank you, Pastor Mahone.
This was just a practice run.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, moving on. All resolutions from the August 21st, 2014 County Board agenda have been signed by the County Executive. Good morning, Speaker Brooks, County Board members, and other elected officials and guests. Today I present to you my proposed 2015 fiscal year 2015 budget. This year's budget marks a positive step forward on a number of fronts. I will briefly give you an overview of what I'm proposing today and the next steps that I believe we must take to keep Will County moving forward. The budget I present today is balanced. The total county budget is $466 million, of which $191 million is in the corporate fund and $275 million are in the special funds. This year's budget proposal meets all our debt obligations and continues to fund our liability for other post-employment benefits at $2 million per year. I am very proud to report that through the joint efforts of the County Board and the County Executive's Office, we have seen an estimated savings of approximately $1.6 million with the implementation of revised tier and contribution levels for our new health insurance plan. I am optimistic that with the recently launched wellness program that these savings will continue to grow in the years ahead. I am also very proud to report that Will County continues to maintain its AA+ bond rating in a challenging economic period. This is a testament to the fiscally responsible approach the County Board and the County Executive's Office has taken over the recent years. As we continue to discuss, the county has many capital needs that must be funded. I have heard from County Board members and other elected officials that we need a more comprehensive approach to fund our roads, facilities, and technology needs. I completely agree and have developed a 5-year plan to address these needs, which are included within the budget proposal. This plan identifies both ongoing and future capital projects, established an annual amount for vehicle and equipment replacement, and identifies the revenue sources that will fund these projects in 2015. Let me be clear. This plan is a working document that will be reviewed by the board and revised as we complete this year's budget process. It will also be updated as new projects and funding sources are identified in the future for our major projects, such as a new courthouse, sheriff's facility, health department, and other critical projects. However, this plan will only be appropriated 1 year at a time and will be used as a resource when the county is required to make decisions about funding for upcoming projects. The draft plan includes funding for our 5-year road plan that was recently approved by the board and dictates funding for critical transportation projects throughout Will County. Since issuance of the 2010 road bonds, we have been averaging approximately $27 million per year for highway design and construction. I am proposing $32 million in the budget authorization for fiscal year 2015 for the Will County Transportation Division. This will allow greater flexibility and keep our road infrastructure projects moving forward. The 5-year road and capital plan takes into account the significant balances that we have accumulated in both the RTA and the motor fuel tax accounts. With this capital plan, we also propose the gradual spend down of these balances on the projects outlined in our 5-year transportation plan, including the larger projects like the Weber Road, I-55 interchange that is fast approaching. It took years to build these funds to the levels they are today. We must expend these special fund balances in a thoughtful and strategic way to pay for our transportation infrastructure projects. We all know that to keep Will County strong economically and an attractive place to raise our families, we need to continue to invest in our infrastructure. In order to maintain a good transportation system, an effective and efficient county government, and county facilities that we can be proud of, we must fund our county projects. That means identifying the revenue. Once we finalize the 5-year capital plan, we must act to fund these agreed upon projects, or else we lose the momentum that we have worked so hard for. With that in mind, my recommendation is to publish the levy at 5% over the prior year, which allows the county flexibility if the new property values change. This is something we did for many years and gives the county board and the county executive office the ability to make rational decisions as our budget process moves forward. My recommended budget includes only the portion of the levy that is allowable by the state statute, which includes CPI at 1.5% of the prior year and new property. The 2014 property tax levy collected in 2015, which includes the CPI and new property, will increase by $2 million. This translates into $1.6 million more in actual levy, plus the increase from new property of $1.3 million. From this total of $2.9 million, $2.4 million will be used to fund county-wide capital projects and be put in the county board's capital fund. The remaining $500,000 has been allocated to special funds. I want to point out a few other facts that I'm sure the board will want to know about this budget proposal. The 2015 corporate fund budget reflects an increase of 2.9% or $5.4 million from 2014. The levy reflects only about 1/3 of this revenue increase. The remainder comes from increases in sales tax collections, new grant revenues, and other new sources of revenue that are not property tax based. The corporate fund budget does not include the use of any cash reserves to balance the budget. As I have already mentioned, the corporate fund levy increase of $2.4 million is entirely allocated for capital projects outlined in the 5-year capital plan. These funds are critical to advancing our jointly agreed priorities. The combined salary and fringe benefits continue to be steady at 76% of the total corporate expenditures. This is the 5th consecutive year that we have been able to keep salaries and fringes at an average of 76% of our total corporate expenditures, which remains an improvement from years past where we exceeded 82% or more. This budget starts us on a path toward consolidation of county services. Based on suggestion from board members, we have started the consolidation of countywide maintenance services. This budget includes mid-year consolidation of courthouse maintenance staff and utilities that are currently managed by the Public Building Commission. We are also working on plans to consolidate in other areas. Revenue increases include the levy at $2.4 million. Revenue has also increased over last year's budget through new non-property tax sources like the county supplemental tax at about $600,000, local distribution of state income tax at $600,000, salary reimbursements for probation and juvenile detention at $1.6 million from the state of Illinois, and Sunny Hill Nursing Home reimbursements at $750,000. Expense increases include $5.5 million for salaries, which covers previous contractual and exempt wage increases, longevity, and 7 new hires for the judicial system. The $1.2 million increase in supplies includes the addition of utility service for the Social Security and First Midwest Bank buildings. The professional and technical services increases include the Ileana and RTA grants, as well as increases in the medical service contract. As we move forward, my staff is available to answer questions and explain the rationale for what I have proposed here today. As many of you already know, our new budget director, Rashawn Howard, has scheduled several informational sessions next week to share more of the details of this proposal. I am hopeful that the board members will take advantage of this opportunity to ask questions and share feedback so we can work together to finalize the 2015 budget. Finally, I would like to thank Budget Director Rashawn Howard, Finance Director Karen Hennessy for all their hard work. Many months ago, they began this process working with the countywide elected officials and department heads. All of these folks deserve credit for the work that goes into getting us to this point. Working together, we have been successful in moving Will County forward, but we still have a long way to go. The path ahead will certainly be challenging, but by working together toward our shared vision of a vibrant, modern, and prosperous Will County, we are assured of success. I remain optimistic that with the continued cooperation of county board members and our elected officials, 2015 will represent a milestone for the future of Will County. Thank you all. Staff will be handing out new budget books as we move in. Our next item on the agenda is Land Use and Development Committee. Mr. Weigel, Chairman.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Tom.
First, we'd like to open our public hearing. I make a motion to open the public hearing for all land use cases.
Moved by Mr. Weigel, second by Mr. Frizzalone. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Sure. DeGrossi? Yes. Eustace?
Sure.
Howard?
Yes.
O'Gallo?
Yes.
Izzo?
Yes.
Moran?
Yes.
Rice? Harris?
Yes.
Trinier? Benefield.
Yes.
Lible.
Yes.
Freitag.
Yes.
Gould.
Yes.
Balich.
Yes.
Griswold.
Yes.
Winfrey.
Yes.
Adamick. Babich. Wilhelmie.
Yes.
Hart.
Yes.
Mayor. McDermott.
Yes.
Weigel.
Yes.
Collins. Barry.
Yes.
And Brooks.
Yes.
Thank you.
26 affirmative.
26 affirmative, we are in public hearing. Please be advised, absolutely no new evidence or information will be allowed once this land use public hearing is closed. We have a number of speakers this morning that we'll start off with. Our first person signed in is Jessica Cook. Jessica Cook, would you like to come forward and speak? State your name and address and everything to the county clerk, please.
Hi, my name is Jessica Cook. I'm here regarding the land use case that you guys have before you for the scrapyard that they intend to put on the road that I live on. I've lived at my residence for 20 years.
Please, we got public, our residents want to speak. Let's give them their attention, please.
It's a very nice place. 1732 New Lenox Road, and this is regarding case 6198 MSV. We're very concerned regarding the scrapyard because we're all on private well and septic out there. We don't want our wells contaminated. We don't want a junkyard basically sitting next to our homes. They built the community. There is businesses along the road, but they're nice businesses, and they built them nicely. They're nice buildings, and I don't have a whole lot to say about it other than please think about what you guys are doing. It's Will County. People will see this from IAB when they enter into Joliet, and there'll be more speakers on this, I'm sure. I'm sorry, I'm just nervous.
That's okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Mr. Cass Wenlin. Good job. Yes.
Good morning, Mr. Executive.
Good morning,
Members
Cass.
of the County Board. Cass Wenlin, 19235 Wolf Road, Mokina, Illinois. I'm an attorney and I'm here representing surrounding neighbors. First, the legal objectors, Elizabeth Chavez and Jorge Leon, who live directly to the south of this parcel along the entire perimeter. Our R1 zone parcel to the south. They've been there for 13 years. I also represent the 3 business owners who have worked to develop this area to the same character of what's being developed to the east in the Cherry Hill Business Park into a first-class investment-grade, institutional-grade industrial business area. Carlson Brothers Contractors, who are nationwide contractors of commercial and industrial facilities from the East Coast to the West Coast. I represent Petrag Industries, who has developed their corporate headquarters there. They basically engineer from the ground up refinery-type systems that will ultimately end up when they construct them on-site up in Canada on the oil sands. Technological, 6-figure jobs, good jobs for people all around the area, as well as contractors' acoustical supply. These are where their boardrooms are. These are where their offices are. And this application seeks to introduce the most intensive zoning category that the county allows, I-3, into this area. It's against the comprehensive plan. It's against the recommendation of staff. It's against the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Against the recommendation of the Land Use Committee. This area, as I said, is developing to a great extent very nicely on the east side of New Lenox Road and New Lenox Township, and is starting to move west into Joliet Township with the Joliet Cold Storage Facility that just got constructed. It should keep developing in that manner so that we maintain that quality, protect the investment, and go on. Rather than putting over 1,000 junk or salvage cars or recycled cars, whatever you want to put it, outside directly in here and introduce this I3 category. And the other point is about the I3 category is that you're introducing it there, and there were comments made at caucus by Mr. Hanson, well, we can limit it just to this owner. No, once you make a map amendment to I3, you establish that zoning category in that area. And so we respectfully, for my clients, Ms. Chavez and Mr. Leon, who live directly across the street where their home is, and where it's proposed to put an I3 across the street for a salvage yard, and for my commercial clients who try to develop this in a light industrial area where their corporate headquarters are, to let this area keep developing in that high quality manner. And to let this proposal die following the recommendations of your staff, the PZC, your own land use plan, and the land use and zoning committee.
Any questions? Any questions? Thank you, Cass.
Thank you.
Our next speaker, Ms. Amy Sanchez. Amy?
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Executive and members of the County Board. I too am also speaking in opposition.
State your
I'm
name
sorry.
and your address, okay?
My name is Amy Sanchez. My residence is 110 Faust Avenue, Joliet, Illinois, 60433.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I too am here to speak in opposition of the proposed auto salvage yard going in the New Lenox Township area. I was a little taken back when I signed up and I found that I was the only Eastside Joliet resident coming to stand in opposition, but I assure you, as the president of the Collins Street Neighborhood Organization, as well as the vice chair of the all neighborhood councils overseen by Unity CDC, that we all stand in agreement in support of the residents in this area to stand in opposition of another auto salvage yard in our gateway into Joliet and in Will County. We're asking today that you would bring this up for a vote, that you would vote it down today, not table it, and you make a precedent that auto salvage yards of this nature are not acceptable in our communities, and we want better for our east side of Joliet and in this area in Will County. We'd like to set a precedent, like the gentleman just before me spoke, where good quality businesses, high wage paying jobs, and affordable wage jobs are created in our communities. And I'm asking you to bring it to vote and to vote it down today, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Next speaker is Bruce Zoomstein.
Good morning. My name is Bruce Zumstein. I'm an attorney in Joliet. I'm at 60 North Chicago Street, Joliet, Illinois. I am here for a client, which is the Martin Campground. I think it's fairly obvious, but I just want to state the obvious somewhat with the lawyer's talent. This property is a very well-known property. If you're traveling on Interstate 80 going into and out of Joliet, you'll see the Martin Campground property, which is the corner of Cherry Hill Road and I-80 and New Lenox Road, and that's been there for several generations. They oppose the auto salvage yard, which is going in a quarter mile to their west on New Lenox Road. We think it would be harmful to the continued operation of the campground. We don't think it's consistent with the highest and best use of the property. And it's certainly not compatible with the residential zoning that's directly across the street from this auto salvage yard. The presentation made was that they would have anywhere from 1,200 to 1,800 cars directly across the street from the residential district. And those 1,200 to 1,800 cars will be recycled every 90 days. That's a lot of traffic. Now, the one problem they have, of course, is that it's on New Lenox Road, which has only a 12-ton limit right now. Well, they're saying, well, they're going to direct the traffic east on New Lenox Road toward Gallagher rather than west toward Brick Street. But we need to know that the way they bring these trucks in, the cars in, the recycled cars, they bring flatbed trucks in and they weigh 13 tons with the two vehicles on it. So that's automatically over the 12-ton limit. Once the cars are crushed and discarded, they go out on semi-trailer trucks that weigh 40 tons. And these are trucks that use a lot of gasoline. Let me just ask you with common sense. If if you're a trucker having that kind of a load, are you going to go east past Cherry Hill Road, go all the way to Galver, go north on Route 30, go east past Providence High School, get on Interstate 80, and go west to get back into Joliet? Or are you going to go west 1 mile on New Lenox Road to Briggs Street, come to that horrible intersection of Briggs and 80 where there's stoplights every 40 feet, and use that to get your route because you're saving gasoline? I think common sense says that they won't be able to control it. The truckers, we wanted to save gasoline mileage. They're not going to go 2 miles east to start heading west. This will be the death sentence for New Lenox Road if you allow this development to come in. It is contrary to your vote by the Land Use Commission, is contrary to the vote of the committee. The neighbors do not support it. The campground does not support it. The homes across the street do not support it. It's just not a compatible use for this neighborhood. I can't say that there's anything bad about the auto salvage business, but they certainly belong in the specific location that's compatible with them, and that's not this location. No one has mentioned, but I know that the city of Joliet filed a complaint at the Land Use Committee meeting, and the Village of New Lenox has now written a letter opposing it as well too, so we have municipalities not in favor as well, but mainly it just doesn't make common sense for the neighborhood or the neighbors. Thank you very much.
Any questions? Thank you, Bruce. Next speaker on this case is Mr. Michael Hansen.
Good morning, Michael Hansen, attorney, Joliet, 735 Essington Road, representing petitioner, New Lenox Road Investments. Mr. County Executive, members of the County Board. I'll try and make my remarks brief. I'd like you to focus at this point in time on the legal requirements of your decision here before you today. You have 2 matters that will be before you. Number 1 is the approval of a map amendment from A1 to I3. The second is the approval of a special use permit. There are 3 matters I would like to draw your attention to with respect to the approval of the map amendment. Number 1, and these factors are taken from the famous LaSalle case, which is the seminal case in the state of Illinois regarding zoning decisions. Number 1, the existing uses of surrounding property. I think everyone has heard, everyone's been briefed in and out of these meetings that next door to this property is an I2 use. Next door is also an industrial use, I1. We acknowledge that across the street it is zoned residential. It's a 10-acre parcel with the residents on it. The rest of the property, agriculture. Down the street is City of Joliet, industrial. And yes, further to the west, over 1/3 of a mile away, is some additional residential. There is no comprehensive plan from Will County which talks about what this is to be. City of Joliet does have a comprehensive plan. They call it industrial. I don't seem to understand the city's objections with respect to why they don't want to seem to follow their comprehensive plan in this respect. Number 2 factor, property values would be diminished. I didn't see any evidence produced by the staff or any objector with respect to the reduction in property values. We happened to go out and hire an appraiser, Joe Shatina, former city councilman, City of Joliet, who did an analysis of the area and found out that the property values would not be diminished by this use coming into the area. And thirdly, yes, it's been mentioned that we, under the current county ordinance, we have to apply for an I3 zoning classification. That's because that's been provided for in the current county zoning ordinance. And it's mentioned as that is the most intense use in the county. That is correct. As I've stated to many of you, we don't believe this is an intense use that belongs in an I3 classification. This is an automobile parts recycling facility. Okay? It's essentially a oversized used car lot. Okay? It is what it is with respect to zoning classification, but it's not a quarry, it's not a mining operation, it's not some of those intense uses that are contained as permitted or special uses in that category. I respectfully disagree with some of my colleagues who happen to state that we could not limit that particular zoning classification to our use. And I'm here to state to you today, as I've stated in the caucus and other places, that we will, either voluntarily or legally, whichever you see fit, to limit the use of this particular property to our own specific use, and none of the other permitted or special uses within that zoning classification. So you have our commitment on that, and I happen to think legally the county can impose that requirement upon this particular piece of property. With respect to the special use permit, the county staff report indicates that it just doesn't follow the criteria. Yet they really offer no sound evidence as to why, in fact, it does not follow the criteria. Let me repeat what the county land use staff says. It says, in fact, that this specific use is not injurious to the use or enjoyment of the property. That's one of their criteria. Secondly, adequate utilities, access roads, drainage have been provided. Yes, we have. We've provided, and let me address at this point in time the traffic concerns. I've stated this in caucus. We've spent a lot of time and money with respect to this. We will improve New Lenox Road going eastbound, and we can. We have the ability to require truckers to go east, not to go west, out of our facility. We hire those individuals. They won't be working as independent contractors or employees if they're going to go west on New Lenox Road from our property, if they're driving trucks out of our property, no matter what they may be carrying, going in or out. I think that's a very good safeguard that we can provide the residents who live a half a mile down the road, so the New Lenox Road does not get crowded. Adequate measures to provide ingress and egress designed to minimize traffic congestion. That's just what I just addressed. And then lastly, that will in all other respects conform to the applicable regulations of the zoning district. I don't think I've heard anything else that would say we aren't in fact complying with those rules or regulations. Let me make a few final additional comments. I understand that economic development is not a zoning criteria or a factor, if you will, in your decision. But let me just give you some of these facts. Number one, we're going to produce 10 to 15 jobs in this area and for the people in this county and in this particular area. We're going to generate, we estimate approximately $7,000 in sales tax for Will County, approximately $70,000 in property taxes for all of the taxing bodies who are taxed under our particular property, with basically no additional services being required from those taxing bodies. We will participate in the community in many ways. And I think those are factors, while albeit not legal factors, considerations that you should make and put into and factor into your decision today. Interestingly enough, another comment that I'd like to bring to the attention of the county board right now, and that's competition. This matter has been kind of silently put on the table during the course of this particular project, okay? Mr. Zumstein, for a fact, who's come before you stating he represents the campground, he didn't disclose that he also represents Speedway Auto, who's one of our major competitors, okay? The city of Joliet, and he's in the city of Joliet. There's been particular issues concerning the fact that we don't want any additional competition. I don't think that is not only I don't think that's illegal, I also don't believe that's a factor for the decision here before you today. And I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Finally, in closing, when I was approached by Mr. Thompson, my client, whether or not I wanted to undertake this case, I looked at all the factors. I've been fortunate to have done an awful lot of zoning and land development in the city of Joliet in particular, Will County and other surrounding communities. I was president of the Will County CED, which you're familiar, in 2008 and 2009. I think I'm qualified and competent to speak towards this particular use. I thought and still believe that it's a proper use for this specific area. I think that I know, in fact, that my client is responsible. There are necessary safeguards put in place under the conditions to make certain that everything and everybody is taken care of. I I would urge the Will County Board to take a leadership role on this matter to approve the map amendment and the special use permit. Thank you.
Any questions? Thank you, Mr. Hampton. Okay, moving on. Next, we got a number of speakers in regards to Resolution 14-261. The first one is Mr. Donald Moran, that's a county board member. Another Mr. Donald Moran.
Got a twin. Like that.
Good morning, Mr. County Executive, Mr. State's Attorney, members of the County Board, and County Board member Donald Moran. My name is Donald Moran. I am an attorney. I represent Waste Management of Illinois, the county's partner in implementing the solid waste management plan and its updates, which have been developed over the past 20 years. My comments today are directed to a proposal. I'm sorry. My address is 161 North Clark Street in Chicago.
Thank you very much.
My comments today are directed to a proposal.
Is this addressing the land use case?
No, it is not.
This is a land use public hearing.
They'll come under public comment.
You going to allow public comments under
We allow public comment.
We have
on our
questions.
matters.
all right, okay, if that's the case, Mr. Blackley, that executive, okay, all right, then we, those ones here for like 14-261, you will have an opportunity to address this board in the executive, when we're in the executive committee.
Excellent.
Okay, you will have the opportunity to address that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
We have two individuals that have signed up, but they've signed up under this public hearing, Mr. Ronald Crawford and Ms. Borden, but they wanted to speak on the medical marijuana issue, which probably should have been on when we had public comment. Citizens to be heard. We will allow them time at another place in the agenda to be heard and make their statements. But we're in the public hearing of land use zoning issues. So with that, anyone else that wishes to speak in regards to land use zoning issues? Anyone else that wishes? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Me?
No. No. Are you got an issue with the zoning, a zoning matter today?
Yes.
Yep, land use. Come on. State your name and your address for the clerk, please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Elizabeth Chavez, 1928 New Lenox Road, Joliet. We purchased the property, 60-acre land, 13 years ago. And we built a house. We own, my husband and I,
a 7-bedroom house. It's the house of our dreams. This property, the one that we own, is exactly in front of the facility is trying to get permission to be built. It's no more than 200 feet away if it's built from my house. We raise our kids. We have 3 kids. We have 3 dogs and 1 horse. And I mention this because they are part of the family. And we are really, really concerned about the contamination and pollution exactly in front of my house that this facility is going to have to our neighbor. Not talking about the loss of privacy, we still have well water, and the contamination, I know I've been reading a lot about this, is not gonna be the same water that we have right now to the water that we're gonna have if this facility is approved. Even that they try to put a lot of names on this business. It's a junkyard. And we purchased this property with a savings of 30 years. And I know if this facility is approved, we're not going to be able, if we decided to sell the property to get what we invested in this land. That's what we, in my name, in the name of my family, to ask this honorable board to take our objection into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, anyone else that has an issue, would like to speak on the zoning issues that are before Tom?
I'd like to reiterate that the city administrator had given us a letter opposing this. City of Joliet, and the mayor of New Lenox had given us a letter opposing the recycling yard of automobiles. And the city council did not vote on it yesterday. I talked to one of the councilmen, and it was because there was already a legal objection filed. So they did not put it on their agenda. They took it off their agenda.
City council, which city?
City of Joliet. Because of the legal objection that had already been filed by a resident, and it would require 20 affirmative votes. At our land use meeting, the economic and planning director of the city of Joliet was at our meeting, and he did oppose the recycling yard. I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Moved by Mr. Weigel, second by Mr. Mayor. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Sure. DeGrossi? Yes. Eustace?
Yes.
Howard? Yes. Ogalla?
Yes.
Izzo? Yes. Moran?
Yes.
Rice?
Yes.
Pierce?
Yes.
Trinier?
Yes.
Benefield?
Yes.
Bible?
Yes.
Freitag?
Yes.
Gould?
Yes.
Balich?
Yes.
Griswold?
Yes.
Winfrey?
Yes.
Adamick?
Yes.
Babbage?
Yes.
Wilhelmie?
Yes.
Hart?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes.
McDermott? Yes. Weigel?
Yes.
Collins?
Yes.
Barry?
Yes.
And Brooks?
Yes.
Thank you.
26 affirmative.
26 affirmative, public hearing has been closed. Mr. Weigel, please continue.
Our first land use case is case 6190-S. This is a special use permit for light equipment sales in Wheatland Township. Committee recommends approval, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Weigel, second by Mr. Adamick. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll call by Mr. Wilhelmie, second by Mr. Ferry. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary motion is carried.
Next case is 6198 MB. This is the automobile recycling yard in Joliet Township on New Lenox Road. First motion is for a map amendment from A1 to I3. Committee recommends denial, and staff recommended denial, but I will make a motion to approve and be voting no. I make a motion for approval.
Moved by Mr. Weigel, second by Mr. Brooks. Any discussion?
Just to clarify, we need 20 votes to pass? Is that correct?
Is there, Mr. State's Attorney, is there a legal objection? Mary?
Yes, there is a legal objection. You do have to have 20 affirmative votes to pass.
Legal objection has been filed. We need to have 20 affirmative votes to pass the resolution. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please. Mr. Brooks. Mr. Brooks.
Before we do that.
You want to say something?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Please. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Mr. Executive. As you know, you've heard the remarks from Chairperson Weigel. He received a letter from the City of Joliet as well as from New Lenox. Although I respect the two mayors from those two villages, and I like to call them my friends. However, this property is not in New Lenox, nor is it in the City of Joliet. It's in Joliet Township, which is part of District 8. My colleague Denise Winfrey and I are supporting this, and I asked this board to do so. But I also put my hand up because I have to clarify, Mr. Executive, a letter that was sent to you, dear Mayor, City Council members, County Executive. I looked at the reply on this email as well as the hard copy. It went to dozens of people all over Will County, but there is some untruths about that letter that I do feel that I need to correct. And in that letter, it was sent to you from Carol Ann Hyman, who's the president of the St. Pat Neighborhood Association of Joliet. And the third paragraph states that in part, that County Board District 8, Mr. Herb Brooks Jr. wants this association that the people are proposing for the salvage yard because Mr. Brooks has an association with the owner. And that is, Mr. Executive, a lie. I met the owner 2 weeks ago at the Border Zone on the way out of this building, and that's the only association I've had with him. And I need to clarify that I have no association at all with the owner. However, I am supporting this facility because it is in my district. They're going to hire within my district. They're going to be good neighbors within my district. Many of the objectives that have been raised, Mr. Mike Hansen have overcome those objections, and they are working with that community. So I am supporting this, and I am asking our county board to do as well. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks. Any other comments?
I would like to make some comments here regarding this. First, I want everyone to know that I do support recycling. I think it's a smart use of things. I support job growth, and I support the owner of properties to be able to do to create jobs on land as long as they can get the right approvals. But in addition to that, you know, I've talked to several people about this, and then I've kind of gone back and forth on how I would vote. But since the business that is being applied for here, going from A1 to I3, is not quite what is in the surrounding areas, it makes sense to me that it makes sense to me that we don't go forward with this, in my opinion, because I know what it's like to have an area that has a plan for it that's not compatible with the surrounding uses. And it makes sense that the people who live near there have bought their land for the use to live there, have the campground and such. So I think it's good. I'm glad that we got input from the surrounding mayors and the area. And I know that it's very important for the county board to listen to what the people who live in the area have to say, to look at the existing land uses and make the right decision as to whether or not something should be approved or denied. And with that in mind, I want everyone to think about this, that we need to put this same thought process when we're looking at every individual case. We can't do it, well, this is just a small business and it's only going to impact 4 people or something like that. We need to look at that when we're looking at every type of development we do in Will County and get the input from everyone. So if the surrounding area doesn't support, they don't support the project, if it's not compatible with the existing land use and it isn't of the highest and best interest for what has been planned for that, then I think we need to apply that same thought for everywhere. And I know there's quite a few of you who have support other projects that don't make sense in other areas of the county. So I just wanted to put that out there, and thank you.
Any other comments? Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
DeBrosi?
Yes.
Eustace?
No.
Howard?
Yes.
Ogalla?
No.
Izzo?
Yes.
Moran?
No.
Rice?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Trainier?
Yes.
Benefield?
No.
Bible?
Yes.
Freitag?
Abstain.
Gould?
Abstain.
Balich?
No.
Frislow?
No.
Winfrey?
Yes.
Adamick?
Aye.
Pardon me?
Yes.
Thank you. Babbage?
Yes.
Wilhelmie?
Yes.
Hart?
No.
Mayor?
No.
McDermott?
No.
Weigel?
No.
Collins?
Yes.
Barry?
Yes.
And Brooks?
Yes.
Thank you.
Affirmative, 10 negative, 2 abstention.
14 affirmative, 10 negative, 2 abstention. The motion fails.
The next motion for amending the special use permit, I'd like to withdraw that because we didn't approve the zoning.
Make motion to withdraw the special use request. Second by Mr. Mayor. Roll call.
DeBrosi?
Yes.
Eustace?
Yes.
Howard?
Yes.
Ogalla?
Yes.
Izzo?
Yes.
Moran?
Yes.
Rice? Yes. Harris?
Yes.
Trainier?
Yes.
Benefield?
Yes.
Bible?
Yes.
Freitag?
Yes.
Gould?
Abstain.
I'm sorry, abstain.
Balich?
Yes.
Frislow?
Yes.
Winfrey?
Yes.
Adamick?
Yes.
Babbage?
Yes.
Wilhelmie?
Yes.
Hart?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes.
McDermott?
Yes.
Weigel?
Yes.
Collins? Yes. Barry?
Yes.
And Brooks?
Yes.
Thank you.
Affirmative, 2 abstention.
24 affirmative, motion is carried. Weigel, please continue.
Our next case, 6199-MB, is a map amendment from A1 to E2 in Wilton Township. Committee recommends approval. I so move.
Moved by Mr. Weigel, second by Mr. Frislow. Any discussion? Any discussion on the motion? Any discussion? Previous roll call by Mr. Ferry, second by Mr. Bible. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, we got 2 abstentions.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Motion is carried.
Next case, 6200-M, is a map amendment from R1 to I1. This is on Archer Avenue in Homer Township. Committee recommends approval, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Weigel, second by Mr. Frislow. Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Babbage, second by Ms. Freitag. Any questions? All in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
Executive Walsh, we
Yes.
need an extension on 6200.
Well, you had,
I do.
you want to abstain on that?
Yes, sir.
You still can second the motion.
Sorry, you went too fast.
Thank you. You're abstaining on that motion, right? Okay. Mr. Weigel?
Our next item is Resolution 14-231, amending Section 155-7.30 of the Will County zoning ordinance concerning owner-occupied accessory dwelling units in an industrial district. Committee recommends approval, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Weigel, second by Mr. Babbage. Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Wilhelmie, second by Mr. Babbage. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary? Ms. Freitag, where are you at on this one? Yes? Okay. Thank you. Motion is carried.
Our next land use meeting is on October 14th. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Tom.